What happens when you combine intense partisan hatred, extreme rhetoric, and standard fare academic lunacy? You get headlines like these from writers at the Huffington Post, Slate, MSNBC, and Fox. Not a democracy? Really? That's news to more than 4.5 million North Carolina voters who went to the polls last November and voted for a Republican for president, a Democrat for governor, a Republican for Senate, for 3 Democratic and 10 Republican congressional representatives, and who voted to maintain Republican supermajorities in the state, House, and Senate. According to the researchers at the ironically named Electoral Integrity Project, these elections were no more meaningful than elections in authoritarian states such as Cuba, Iran, and Venezuela. In a comprehensive takedown of the EIP report, Columbia University's Andrew Gelman notes that the organization ranks 27 out of the 50 US states worse than it ranks North Korea. Think about that for a second. Mainstream and extremely popular journalistic outlets trumpeted a report claiming that Rhode Island and Pennsylvania are less democratic than a nation that maintains gulags where prisoners are either killed, tortured, or starved to the point where they must eat grass, rats, and snakes to survive. And EIP warns Wisconsin and Ohio are less democratic than a dictatorship that executes political prisoners with anti-aircraft guns. But hey, American states gerrymander and some require voter ID, so they're worse? In a time where news outlets are allegedly alert to the crisis of fake news, how could they publish such a stupid assertion? Gelman hits the nail on the head when he says, "It all seems like an unstable combination of political ideology, academic self-promotion, credulous journalism, and plain old incompetence." The EIP has glittering credentials. Harvard University's Pippa Norris directs the program, and its research team is based at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government and the University of Sydney. In other words, if you combine a report that hits Republicans, especially the hated North Carolina Republicans, as authoritarian monsters with the academic H-bomb, Harvard, then you've got journalistic gold. This isn't fake news, it's gullible news, and it just might be worse than intentionally false fake news. Gullible news is different. Fake news depends on gullible readers. Gullible news exists because of gullible writers. No one's claiming that Slate or Vox or any other outlets were intentionally passing along bad information. Yes, Slate ran Gelman's article refuting one of its previous pieces. The report hits all the right notes. It wasn't just too good to check, it was too trusted to check. Can't you trust content from Harvard? Examples like these are all around us. The Washington Post has been hit hard, publishing deep, flawed stories about an alleged Russian effort to spread fake news during the 2016 election, and an alleged Russian hack of a Vermont utility. Fake news has been the subject of quite a bit of gullible reporting, like the deeply flawed BuzzFeed report that exaggerated the reach of fake news relative to credible outlets. Gullible news tends to serve and support a dominant media narrative. Gullible news is often supported by studies. These studies tend to be garbage. And there's no good solution to gullible news. Ideological cocooning in academia and in the media means the writers don't know when they've been had. Confirmation bias creeps into everything. One key answer, greater ideological diversity in the academy and the mainstream media, is elusive, especially when the academics and media figures are so cocooned that they view their opponents, when they encounter them at all, as evil and idiotic. If something seems to confirm your fondest hopes or darkest fears, immediately look for the opposing comment. Oh, and never forget to add a dash of common sense. If anyone tells you that any part of America is worse than North Korea, you don't need a Harvard degree to know that's bullshit.